I hope it's here somewhere. There we go. When we look at scales, fifth graders are nothing more than kind of number lines, right? They go in order, right, from zero, usually from zero to something else. What is, and we see scales in all sorts of different places besides these. These are just three that I kind of picked out of there. A thermometer is in scales, although with our world of digital stuff, a lot of times you don't have to read those sort of scales. A bathroom, this one we actually do call a scale, and this one we kind of call a scale too. What is the most important thing before you try reading a scale? What should you think about? Does anybody know? For example, this thermometer. Blow it up to life size for you. When you look at that, I mean, you're looking at it and you kind of, you see the big number, you see 20 and 30 and 80, that's kind of right there. But before you try to decide what temperature that's actually pointing at, what is one thing you have to do, Lilia?
The number that's closest to it.
Right, but before you even do that, Ellie Stewart,
Pick a degree that you're going to measure it in.
I think kind of. Olivia, what were you going to say?
Say if you're doing Fahrenheit or Celsius.
Well, yeah, that would be specifically for this. I'm kind of getting at this. You need to know, and write this down, what does each line, actually it's more of a space, stand for? You have to decide what units of measurement they are using. And I'll specifically look at this one because it's really obvious here. You have a 200 mark here and a 300 mark here. Would you just look at this and say that this is, well, measuring in grams, would you just look at this and say it's 202 grams? Because it's just 2 units over? No, because that doesn't make sense, because that would only get you to 203 and 204, and then you go all the way to 300. So what I'm saying is, you need to decide what does each one of these stand for. What is the, I don't want to use the scale, what is the units of measurement each one of these is for? And how would you figure that out, Connor?
By counting how many lines it is and then dividing.
Exactly, that's kind of it. It's kind of dividing by, well, I know from 200 to 300, that's 100, right? You know this has to be 100 all the way there. How many pieces am I dividing 100 into there? And here's where I also have to caution you, watch out for this, children. When you look at scales and measurements, don't count the tick marks, count the spaces between them. Because if you're counting tick marks, you'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and say 2 to 300 is cut into 6 pieces. No, it's 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 piece, 4 piece, 5 pieces. I'm cutting 100 into 5 pieces, and I don't know if you can do that math at 5th grade. 100 cut into 5 pieces is, Chloe, 20. So each one of these marks stands for 20. So this is 200. This spot, they don't label it, but it is 220. This spot would be 240, and then 260 and 280. So this thing measures whatever we're weighing there. What do we mean? What do you suppose weighs 240 grams? I think that's more or less than you weigh. Ethan, do you think you weigh 240 grams?
No.
More than that?
More.
Like,
Much.
how do you know?
Because grams are, 1 gram is like, I don't know, maybe small pieces of paper.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. Usually when we talk about your weight, we talk about kilograms, right? Well, and you weigh a lot of kilograms. 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds. So you weigh about half of what you, in the metric system you weigh about what half you'd say you weigh in pounds. So if you weigh 100 pounds in the metric system, you'd weigh 50 pounds. Alright, and 240 is 1/4 of a kilogram, so that'd be enough of that. Now, so go back to our thermometer. Going back to our thermometer. So the first thing you need to decide is what are each one, how many degrees does each one of those little tick marks stand for? So if you look really big, let's blow it up super big. Woo! And this is maybe a little confusing, but not. you know, well, here's 60, right? This is 60 degrees, and this is 70 degrees, you know, because it's halfway between that. So how many spaces are there between 60 and 70 degrees? 3?
4.
Well, I think there's 5, isn't there? 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5. Okay, you're not counting tick marks, because that'll confuse you. You're counting the spaces between the tick marks. Here's one space from here to here, then from there to there's 2, there to there's 3, there to there's 4, and there to there's 5. So you're splitting 10 degrees into 5 different pieces. Is that a little blurry for you? You know, if you go way, way back by Mrs. Smiley and like even farther back, it gets a lot clearer. So how many degrees is each one of these spaces?
5.
Not 5 degrees. 2 degrees, right? This would be 62, 64, 66, 68, 70, 72, 74, 76, 78, 80. So this right here, gosh, it looks like it's right between them, doesn't it? How many degrees would you suppose that is if it goes up to there? I would accept a couple answers there. What would you suppose? Who's got a taking a shot at it there? Trevor?
83?
Yeah, I would go with 83. If you told me 82, I'd accept that, but it looks like it's almost halfway between 82 and 83, or 82 and 84, so I would go with 82. How about in Celsius? How many degrees is it in Celsius? That'd be the other side over there. I assume this is Fahrenheit, that's Celsius. Aiden says,
30.
now, just before you know, this is 20 degrees and that's 30. So it can't be 30, because 30 would be right here. You'd have to go this high to get to 30.
26.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. We gotta go back. This is a different scale on this side, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe you should stop me there.
Ones.
John, is that what you're gonna say?
Yeah, it goes by ones on the Celsius.
It does. If you look at here between 20, I was just checking, by the way. Between 20 and 30, it's split into 10 spaces. So on this side, it's 1 degree. That side over there, it's 2 degrees. So how many degrees is it over there? I'm glad you caught that. Otherwise, I would have been like, wow, that doesn't seem quite right. John?
28 degrees Celsius.
28, I would say, yeah, right at 28 degrees. And then how about this one over here, the bathroom scale? I didn't really look at that one too carefully. Oh, is it there? Ooh. Oh, that one doesn't give us, I was kind of gonna look to see what the scale was on that. Can you tell on yours what the scale is or no? What's that, splitting into? Maybe we'll just go from the big ones here. How about this? If this is 20 right there, right? This is 40 right here. That tells us this line must be 30, even though it doesn't say it must be 30. And if that line's 30, halfway between 20 and 30, this line would have to be 25. And I'm guessing there's enough little spaces in there to be 1 pound each. I don't know. My picture wasn't really clear there. So if you weighed this, oh, let's get real crazy. This is about Mr. Hahn's weight right here. How much would I weigh if that was mine right there? If each of these secondary ones here are 5 pounds, how much is that? That's probably close. Maybe. Caroline? 285 degrees would be here, 290 degrees would be there, 295. And if you weighed 300 pounds, you actually weigh nothing because you go all the way back to 0. That'd be a quick diet plan.
What if you weighed like over that?
I think it would go around once and then this would be 305, 310. It'd spin around once, I think. You'd get a different scale probably. So open up your books. Oh, I suppose, yeah. Open your books, if you would, please, to page 186. 186.
180.
Or maybe 166. How about that?
Yeah.
Does that make more sense? I thought we were going to skip a lot. If you look at Page 166 where it says in blue, example 2, you see page 166? It's got a picture of a scale there. What is that scale? What is the weight that that scale is pointing to? What is the weight that that scale is pointing to? Actually, whatever you think it is, write it on your piece of paper. Write it on your note piece of paper there so I can. What is the scale on page 166? It's a bathroom scale. See, that was real. Maybe it's not a bathroom scale unless somebody raised. Everybody there? A little bathroom scale there. By the way, don't look at the answer on page 167. What did we come up with? Who had an answer there? Chloe, what did you say? Did you have one? No. River? 550 pounds is exactly right. Then go to page 167 where it says lesson practice. Look at letter C. Look at letter C. What, it says points A and B on this number line indicate two numbers. Write the two numbers and use a comparison symbol to show what is greater or what is less. What is point A? What number is point A on? Jonah?
30.
Yep, and what's point B on? Point B would be on, Sam? 80 degrees. So what would you do if it told you to write a comparison for those? Find a place to be here. Zoom out a little bit. How would you write that as a comparison? Someone want to tackle that? We got the numbers 30 and 80. Wow. Stewart?
30 is less than 80.
Or, there's two options there. You could also say, Ellie.
80 is greater.
Okay. I'm putting Mrs. Smiley. I am. 30 is less than 80, or 80 is greater than 30. But at least I caught myself on that. But that doesn't make sense. The alligator always eats the bigger one, doesn't it?
Yep, yes it does.
You could get a pack.
Because he's a hungry guy.
I'm very.
Very hungry guy. And then back to your note paper, because we probably should jot this down because I see they talk about it a little bit. Back to your piece of paper, while we're talking about thermometers. Let's see where my thermometer is. Because we do talk about temperature a lot. Don't worry, I got it. Ooh, that's big. One of my favorite things is we are stubborn American people, yes? We have two different measuring systems for temperature. One is our little Fahrenheit system. I'm gonna spell it because it's really hard. Fahrenheit. Did I spell that right? H-E-I-G-H-T? No, no G, no H, no nothing. I really should just retire for the day. Somebody says yes. And the other one, the metric system, what everybody else in the world uses is called the Celsius or centigrade. Did I spell that one right?
Yes, wait, no.
Yes. Now, we always use this one. When it gets really warm out, how many degrees is it usually? We talk. What would you say is a warm degree, Lily? 80 degrees. A really warm day in Celsius is, Ronnie?
20.
Yeah, probably 20, a little higher, 20, maybe 25. Here is the logic behind the Celsius. This is why Fahrenheit is kind of goofy. We base our temperatures based on the boiling point and the freezing point of water. So, in the Fahrenheit world, we've got boiling water and we've got freezing water. In the Fahrenheit world, what temperature does water boil at? Carolina? Not in a Fahrenheit scale. Fahrenheit is, Connor?
Fahrenheit is 101 degrees.
Nope. See, and that's why our system is so goofy. It's not any of those there. It is, Connor. It's 212 degrees. And then freezing, water freezes at, John, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And then we've got all these temperature marks in between here. You know, and then we have to start, if it gets really cold, we've got 0 degrees, and then we have to go below 0, you know, like 10 degrees below 0, blah, 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 blah. Well, if you were trying to make life easy, in the Celsius world, guess what temperature water boils at? Logically, water would boil at, Ellie,
100.
now wouldn't that make sense? It's a pretty easy number to remember. And water freezes at, Jonah,
0 degrees.
0 degrees, and then they just took that and split that into a nice, easy 100 little digits there. So, which degree, and this or this would mean a bigger temperature change? If the weather went up 10 degrees, would 10 degrees Fahrenheit mean it went up a lot more? Or 10 degrees Celsius mean it went up a lot more? Celsius, because there's fewer marks, right? You know, you've got, between, here there's 180 degrees between boiling and freezing. Here there's only 100. So every one of these is gonna be a little more of a temperature change there. But isn't this a lot easier to remember? Okay, water boils at 100, freezes at 0. It's helpful for me to remember. And you can see, we did the little scale temperature comparison there where you can see, you know, 70 degrees is pretty close to, looks like 21 degrees. 80 degrees would be 22 or 30, 27 degrees. 100 degrees is, by the way, there's a big long formula that you could use, but we won't get into that because it's really complicated for you guys. Enough of that, right? Yes, no, yes, no.
There's no answer.